Good afternoon. Today I am in the great city of Detroit, Michigan, and here with a very special announcement. I am joined by Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, Attorney General Dana Nessel, Representative Graham Filler, Representative Shira Gay-dagnogo, Representative David Legrand, Mayor Mike Duggan, Priscilla Bordeaux, Sean Williams, and Safe and Just Michigan Executive Director John Cooper. Today, I am signing a bipartisan package of bills that is reforming Michigan's criminal justice system. We're making it easier for people who have committed certain felonies and misdemeanors to have their record expunged after they have paid their debt to society. And this includes a change allowing a person to set aside one or more marijuana offenses if the offense would not have been a crime if it had been committed after the use of recreational marijuana by adults became legal in our state. This is in response to the referendum the voters approved to legalize marijuana in 2018. During my 2018 campaign for governor, I made expungement of marijuana charges one of my key priorities, and I'm so proud today that we can follow through on that goal. For too long, criminal charges have created barriers to employment, barriers to housing, and others for hundreds of thousands of Michiganders. These bipartisan bills are going to be a game changer. They will ensure a clean slate for hundreds of thousands of people, and they will help us grow our workforce and expand access to education and skills training. When we help people get a good job so they can put a roof over their head, it is good for our state, it is good for our families, our small businesses, and our economy as a whole. It'll bring down the recidivism rate even more. And most importantly, it's the right thing to do. Research shows that people who receive expungements see a 23% increase in their income within a year. That's money that they can spend to put food on the table, to keep themselves and their families warm, to pay their bills, and to make sure they've got clothes for the winter. So, since the beginning of my administration, Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist and I have focused on reforming our criminal justice system. In April of 2019, I created the Bipartisan Michigan Task Force on Jail and Pretrial Incarceration. It was chaired by the Lieutenant Governor and Michigan Supreme Court Chief Justice Bridget McCormick. They reviewed the state's jail and court data to expand alternatives to jail, to safely reduce jail admissions and length of stay, and improve the effectiveness of the front end of Michigan's justice system. In May of last year, I signed into law a bipartisan set of bills that ended the practice of law enforcement agencies seizing a person's property before that person has been judged and convicted. And I signed an 18-bill package to raise the age of who is considered a juvenile or considered an adult under criminal justice system. So it went from 17 to 18 years old. And with the passage of that legislation, Michigan joined 46 other states in ensuring the unjust practice of charging and punishing children as adults is no longer the case in Michigan when they make mistakes. So this work is a result of strong bipartisan leadership from the people in this room and many others who have contributed, who are not with us today but have been working so hard. Of course, there still is more work to do. I know everyone here has a deep commitment to ensuring that we continue this work to make Michigan a just place for everyone. I'm proud of the bipartisan coalition that has come together, and we will continue to work together to reach our goals. On the topic of criminal justice reform, and as we get closer to Election Day, I want to make sure that everyone in Michigan knows if you've served your time, you need to know your rights. If you have a criminal record in Michigan, you can vote in our elections. You can make your voice heard. So I urge you to register to vote, request an absentee ballot, or walk into your clerk's office and fill it out and be done, having made sure your voice counts. If you can vote in person before Election Day, please do, but you can always vote on Election Day, November 3rd. We want to make sure your vote counts too. And with that, I will hand it over to the Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everyone for being here and to all those who played an important role in making this historic day possible here in the state of Michigan. I'm honored to be here today as we take another step forward toward building a more just state, as we give more Michiganders re-entering society a real chance to succeed. If we want a state where everyone has the opportunity to contribute to our society, secure meaningful work, provide for their families, find a home, and build their futures, we cannot maintain lifelong barriers for someone based on past mistakes. The legislation that we are signing into law here today will not only clear those barriers for hundreds of thousands of Michiganders and grow our workforce of Michigan's employers. Research from the University of Michigan Law School shows that this can be accomplished without compromising public safety. Without a doubt, this is the right thing to do on behalf of people everywhere who deserve a clean slate. Now, while we celebrate and recognize the importance of the steps taken today, we must continue to do the work that needs to be done around criminal justice reform. Our administration has been committed to enacting these reforms since day one. As the governor mentioned, I've had the honor of serving as the co-chair on the Michigan Task Force on Jail and Pretrial Incarceration alongside Michigan Supreme Court Chief Justice Bridget McCormack. We reviewed the state's jail and court data and the most comprehensive look at that data in the history of our state. And we've made 18 recommendations to the Michigan legislature to expand and invest in jail alternatives, safely reduce jail admissions, length of stay, improve the effectiveness of the jail system, as well as improve data sharing amongst it so we can actually understand it going forward. And I look forward to our continued partnership with the legislature, including the legislative leaders that we have here today, to move forward on these needed reforms. So while these clean slate bills, they do benefit all of us here in the state of Michigan, we know that people of color are overrepresented in our jail and prison populations. We know that generations of disparities have continued to have a detrimental impact on the lives of people of color across the state and across the country. While we can't cure these systemic problems overnight, this legislation is one step in the direction that we are choosing to address them head on. I want to thank Governor Whitmer for her support in making this a reality. I want to thank the lawmakers on both sides of the aisle who have come together with many months of negotiation to get this done. I want to thank the advocates and the individuals who shared their experiences, their personal stories, which need to always be beneath and on top of the policy choices that we make. Today is truly about changing lives. I know that we can continue to stand tall together for everyone who calls our state home and everybody who needs someone in their corner. Know that that is my commitment as your Lieutenant Governor. And one more thing about this legislation. This is pro-economy. This is job-creating and job-enabling legislation. This is bigger than criminal justice reform. This is about economic opportunity and full participation in our economy and our society. And every person in Michigan needs to know that their lawmakers will continue to work with them and on their behalf to make sure that everyone has the potential to be their best selves and live that full potential here in the state of Michigan. That starts in another way on this historic day. And so with that, I would like to take the pleasure of introducing the Attorney General of the state of Michigan, Dana Nessel. Thank you.
Firstly, I just want to start off by thanking Governor Whitmer for inviting me to be part of this really incredible day that is so meaningful to so many people, and also for providing a ring light for the event. It's life-changing, for sure. So I've had the honor and privilege to be part of some of the amazing progress we've made here in the state of Michigan since taking office as Attorney General nearly 2 years ago. But I would say, honestly, few things compare to the gigantic leap forward that we are taking in our state today as Governor Whitmer signs this law and this package of bills designed to help so many Michiganders in our state move forward. And as I often talk about, prior to being elected, I served as an assistant prosecuting attorney in Wayne County for many years, and also as a criminal defense attorney. And I can tell you from so many firsthand experiences that the expungement process in our state was in need of very serious reform. And we not only needed to expand the types and numbers of offenses that could be eligible for expungements, but we also needed to make that process much more accessible to our residents. And this package of bills does both of those things, and that's why I am so thrilled to be here and part of this historic moment. Before saying anything else, of course, I want to thank the members of the Michigan House and Senate for their dedication to this issue and for all of their hard work in getting it across the finish line when so many people really honestly doubted that it could be done. I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for his steadfast leadership in bringing together stakeholders across the spectrum to make sure this issue was steadily advanced within the legislative process. And I want to thank all the organizations and residents who provided insight, expertise, and personal stories to help demonstrate the real and meaningful impact these reforms would bring to people all across our state. Today's bill signing is the culmination of thousands of hours of hard work and stands as a shining example of what can happen when we set aside partisan differences and come together in the best interests of Michigan residents and the future of our state. For those who have been convicted of a crime and paid their debt to society, there is no greater barrier to success than having a criminal record that follows you around for the rest of your life. It is a barrier to education, a barrier to employment, and a barrier to supporting those you love and those who love you. And I've always believed that once your debt to society has been paid, the world we live in should properly reflect that. And I also want to specifically recognize the important changes that are being made to the expungement process for marijuana offenses. As the governor indicated, the residents of the state spoke loudly and clearly in 2018 when they voted to legalize recreational marijuana. And one of my first acts in office was to dismiss many of those pending cases and to focus on the serious crimes that impact our residents every day. For far too long, we have disproportionately punished minority communities for marijuana offenses, and for too long it has ruined families and their futures. And after today, certain marijuana offenses will now be eligible for expungement, and Michigan will begin the long but necessary process of righting the decades of wrong that has been done for so many. And I'm very proud that my office played a part in advocating for those who were burdened by lingering marijuana convictions on their record. Before I conclude, I am going to tell you that for my department, we intend to have a special portion of our website that is just dedicated to the expungement process that will help people navigate this process, and also a series of videos that we intend to put up to assist people so that they can understand how to go about getting their convictions expunged. Obviously, in terms of expediting the massive number of people that will now be eligible who were never eligible before, it'd be super if our friends in the legislature would consider some sort of, I don't know, additional appropriations to help us out a little bit so that we can get these through. The last thing we want are people who are now eligible to have to wait a long period of time just because we don't have the staff to process it. So we'll be talking later, is all I'm saying. But that being the case, please know that you have a friend and ally in me and in my department for those who are beginning their expungement journey. Thank you very much again for having me, Governor. And at this point, I'd like to call up Representative Graham Filler.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you so much. I can't even believe a year ago we were in Detroit holding a press conference over by the Fiat factory with the mayor, and to think that we worked with all the stakeholders, senators, the lieutenant governor, whose outstanding knowledge of information systems came at the exact right time, the Michigan Attorney General, who helped better the marijuana bill that we worked on, law enforcement groups who always think about protecting public safety, Alliance of Safety and Justice, Safe and Just Michigan, conservative civil liberty groups. I mean, this was a team effort. It's really a great example of legislators working across the aisle to solve real-world problems and help Michiganders. So thanks to everyone. This is a huge day in the state of Michigan because of the amount of people who are going to be able to access expungement, clean their record. Two statements. These nation-leading reforms will directly lead to increased public safety in the state of Michigan. You're in your community, you're invested in your community, you're spending time with your family, you're working, you're accessing housing. We have less recidivism, less victims. This is what happens when you access expungement. Number two, this package brings proportionality to Michigan's justice system, and you don't hear that word often, but it's at the heart of a lawyer's practice, and it's at the heart of the justice system. Does the punishment fit the crime? And for far too long, expungement laws in Michigan have been out of whack. Under our current laws, you can ask a judge to take a serious assaultive felony off your record, but you cannot ask that a minor traffic misdemeanor be taken off. Our bill package fixes many of those issues. There's nothing in conservative or liberal orthodoxy that says you must have a crime on your record the rest of your life. My legislative director, Nick Capone, and my judiciary advisor, Aaron Van Langenfeld, came down to Detroit, and we met with job fair applicants last year. We met with a woman, I don't remember her name, and she said, look, when I was young, I committed 3 misdemeanors, 2 marijuana and 1 traffic offense. Now I've got a job, I'm providing for my kids, and I want to do better. I'm striving. Well, this package is going to go to her story and many other stories. So I can't believe I'm sitting here. Thank you so much for everyone who worked hard in the House and the Senate. Rep. Legrand specifically, I worked so closely with, and we brought this from a bunch of Republicans and Democrats who had good legislative ideas, and we turned it into reality. So I'm happy to announce Rep. Sherry Gay-Dagnogo is here to speak, and Rep. Sherry Gay has been a leader in the House. So thank you. Where is my
in your
mask?
pocket.
Thank you so much.
He's excited. I got my eye on the mask.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is a very exciting day. I like Rep. Granfiller, can't believe that we're actually here. So much energy went into making today a reality, and I just really have to thank our governor for inviting me to be here today. Our lieutenant governor, like Rep. Granfiller said, you couldn't have come at a much better time. All the energy that took place with Rep. David Legrand, Rep. Filler. If you only saw the House floor the days that we talked about expungements, it was a lot of moving around, hoping, praying, and wishing. And thank you to our very capable Attorney General for helping to give that extra boost. There's one person that I wish were here today, and we know why he's not, but my colleague, Rep. Isaac Robinson. This issue was very, very near and dear to his heart, and I know he's smiling down from heaven about the actual signage today. As I said, I'm Sherry Gay-Dagnogo. I represent the 8th House District on the northwest side of Detroit. I'm also the Detroit Caucus Chair, serving my 3rd and final term, so this is a great piece to walk out with. Michiganders have already taken accountability for their actions, should not have to have their records preventing them from getting jobs back on the track for the rest of their lives. I can't tell you how many emails, how many inboxes, how many text messages I've received from people, even at one of my town halls, a man in my district who's over 70 years old, who runs his own business, says that he could not get a job for years simply because he had a felony on his record. So people that are applying for a job, that need a mortgage, a college education, or skilled trades license, this package is opening up a gateway of opportunity and what I call my fresh start. I can't tell you how much this means to people who have not been able to work a meaningful job. I talk to people throughout Brightmoor and where I used to live on Burlingame and Dexter in the neighborhoods, and I talk to them, and sometimes I even had a chance to talk to a couple of gang members, people that perhaps might have sold marijuana. And you know what? They don't want to continue selling marijuana. They don't want to continue doing what's wrong. But when you lock people out of opportunity and you lock them out of jobs, they have no other recourse in some instances. And so now today, a bipartisan package which opens up the floodgates for people to work at Fiat and for people to work with the UAW, the button I'm wearing today, for people to work with the Michigan Regional Council of Carpenters and so many others. That's what today is about. There's so many people who poured into this work actually getting done, and many of them wanted to be here today, and I can't call all their names, but I have to also give a shout out to Judge Deborah Thomas. She's carried this issue for year after year after year. I think she's done more expungement clinics than anyone else. Dr. Calvin Trent, someone else who is no longer with us today from Real, he pushed and pushed and pushed, and we were together last year for the National Expungement Week. The Detroit Justice Center, Safe and Just, been mentioned already, Just Leadership USA. And I have to say, I sat down with our speaker before our last day of session, and I too, Attorney General Nesso, asked for an appropriation. I received an appropriation of over close to $1 million during the last gubernatorial administration, and some of those dollars now are just being programmed to help pay for the fees of the expungement applications. Studies show that University of Michigan study show that less than 10% of people who are eligible for expungements actually apply. Some because they don't have access to a website like you mentioned today. Some because they don't have the fee and they think it's unattainable. And some who think it's just too complicated to understand. And so that's why we're developing a brochure that will make it plain, step after step, what to do. And so I just want to applaud all of those who are poured in, and I'm excited that this Friday we'll also be talking about the work that Mecca's doing on the east side and the Nation of Islam is doing on the west side to make sure that we work with our communities to make these expungements a reality for all. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that's here and all of the names that I didn't call, all of our colleagues that co-sponsored and worked on these things together. It couldn't have happened with all of us without all of us working together. We're stronger together, and I'm glad we're here today crossing the finish line. Thank you again, Madam Governor. Next, I will call up my colleague, very capable Vice Chair of Judiciary, who has much more energy, I think, than me on this issue, Rep. David Legrand. Thank you.
So, I feel a little bit like Moses looking into the promised land, except I get to go. It was on, I think it was January 8th that I put together a work group to work on this issue. And when I went home for dinner that night, I said to my wife, if I only had one day in my working career, and it was today, I think I had a productive career, because that was the day that prosecutors and representatives from the Attorney General's office and defense attorneys and interest groups sat together and realized that something that sounded crazy might actually happen. And we're here today. And Representative Filler and I sometimes joke how I spent my summer vacation in 2019 was with working on the details with Representative Filler and hammering this out to a point where we could actually get something that moves forward. And turns out democracy really does mean we have to do things together. It really does mean that none of this is a solo act. It means that if we build consensus, we can do amazing things in this country. And it also means that I've often said recently that the two words I want to get out of my political vocabulary are fight and win. I've got no interest in fighting, and I've got no interest in winning. I want to work and build. And this package today is something that we worked on together and we built together. And it isn't going to help me, because I don't have anything on my criminal history, but it is going to help one of my colleagues. in the State House who until today has not been able to get her criminal record cleaned up. She's not shy about it. Her name's Tanisha Yancey. She's not making a secret about it. She was a former prosecutor. She's a state representative, and she has things in her past that are still following her around until the governor gets out her pen. Today is an amazing day. It's been hard. It's been long. Two of the people we've talked about the University of Michigan a couple times here, and I want to just lift up and mention by name. Sonia Sarr and J.J. Prescott from the University of Michigan did amazing work on this, put together the architecture, put together the data and the numbers that made this inarguable and not opposable. It's so important. They're the folks who went out and figured out that only 1 out of 16 people currently get their records expunged if they're eligible. They're the ones who went out and figured out that this actually improves public safety. Now, I also want to call out a state staffer on the Republican side whose name is Hassan, who figured out that we could actually include driving offenses as expungible things. That's never happened before. That was because of good research by a staffer. So this success does have 1,000 parents. We do have more work to do, and Lieutenant Governor, I want to point out, it's true. There's a lot more we have to do to make this a state that does not have a two-track justice system, where we have one justice system for the well-connected and the affluent, and one justice system for people who just don't have enough money to make the system work for them. So we have to reform our cash bond system. We have to reform sentencing guidelines. Michigan has the highest level of sentences of any state in the country. That's wrong, and we've got to fix it. So we've got more work to do. But although we came in at the back of the pack in raising the age, today we are about to become the first state in the country, to automatically clean up people's records, including some felonies. Now, bear with me here. I'm going to do some very quick math for you, and I'm going to keep it simple. The United States has roughly 300 million people. Michigan has roughly 10 million people. That means that we are roughly 3% of this country. But the beautiful thing is states pay attention to each other. And so today, what I hope and pray and am going to start acting on is asking other states to do what we are doing here today in Michigan. Because if we can help, and I think we're going to help about 1 million people in the state of Michigan, if you can multiply that by 30, what we're doing today and what you are doing today, Governor, may ultimately help 30 million people in this country. This is transformative. This is anti-poverty. This is pro-public safety, but it is mostly pro-dignity. I do not want to live in a country where some people have to live in shame and some people don't. I don't want to live in a country where we have two classes of citizen. If we really believe in democracy, this is where the rubber meets the road. And again, Graham Filler, Representative Filler, my brother, this is a bipartisan package. This is something that we did together because it's right. And there's a lot more we can do together. Thank you all for coming. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm not a pro at this. Our great mayor of Detroit, Mayor Duggan, who has been a leader on working on expungement, is next.
I know that I was so wrapped up in your eloquence, I forgot you were supposed to introduce me. This is a special day in this city. This city is coming back, but we can't come back if we don't get the talents of everybody. And there are way too many residents of the city of Detroit who are hardworking, talented, and are being held back because of a mistake they may have made years ago. And so in 2016, we started Project Clean Slate. And in the city, we'll be your lawyer if you've got a past felony. You go onto our website, we'll be your lawyer. The circuit court has been great. Judge Kenney, Judge Prentice Edwards, Judge Regina Thomas, moving the cases. But here's the problem. If you've got one felony that's more than 5 years old, we can get it expunged. But if you've got 2 felonies, we can't. Even if you did 2 B&Es 20 years ago, nobody can help you until now. And so Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, and everybody who worked on this, 80,000 more Detroiters are eligible for expungement today that were not eligible before. And the bipartisan nature of this is remarkable. Representative Legrand, Representative Gay-Dagnogo, and I want to say something in particular about Representative Graham Filler. He comes from a rural area in the central part of this state. He's been down here repeatedly to understand. I sat in a room with him a year and a half ago with a number of individuals who had served time in prison, came back. He listened to their stories about how they couldn't get housing, how they couldn't get jobs. He actually talked to people who were affected in writing the legislation. It's something that I hope we get to see a lot more of. And so here's where we are today. As the governor said, if you get your record expunged, your wages tend to go up almost 25% within a year. There's a whole lot of folks in this city that if you go through this process, we can move you into the middle class. And while this law doesn't kick in until April, if you go to the website now, DetroitMI.gov, we'll get you started, we'll get the process going so that when April, when the law takes effect, we can get you expunged immediately. And before I bring up somebody who's been through the process and can talk about what it means, I just want you to understand how many different ways it affects people. It's not just what you earn. But when we go to these expungement fairs, I get to hear all kinds of stories. And Kerry Jones and Stephanie LaBelle have done such a great job. We had a fella who had a good job, had 2 convictions years ago, wanted to get his record expunged. And I said, if it hasn't affected you economically, why are you doing this? And he had a story. His 4-year-old daughter was going on her school, 4th grade daughter was going on her school field trip. He filled out the form to be a chaperone. And because he had a record, he was turned down by the school. So even though it wasn't affecting his day-to-day life, can you imagine that father having to say to his daughter, I can't chaperone the trip next month? He said, I'm coming in to get my record expunged because in the 5th grade class, I'm going to be the chaperone. There are so many ways that what the team here did is going to improve the quality of life. And I want to say thank you to all of them. And somebody who's successfully gone through the process, a resident of the West Side, a woman who owns her own business and is doing great. And I want you to listen to her because residents of Detroit, you can go to Project Clean Slate and we can get you through this legal process. We'll be your lawyer. Please welcome Sean Williams.
Okay, thank you for that. I wasn't expecting that. I hope lipstick is not over my face. I really was not expecting to speak either. Thank you for inviting me to be here to have this opportunity to share my story. I never thought I would. I didn't quite exactly know what I was going to say, but I heard a lot of impactful things that were said. And one I just want to touch on that was said was how it feels to know, to have something off of your record to make you feel like a human being again and to have dignity placed back within your spirit. 25 years ago, of course, I was much younger. And younger people think that they're infallible. We don't think, we don't pump our brakes. That was 25 years ago. And I did something that was thoughtless, that I didn't even know that I was in the act of doing until it happened. And that was my first bout of being, quote unquote, in the court system. I said that to say, 25 years later, I did not even know it was still on my record because I was given unconditional probation. I went through working with the old Detroit public schools for years before deciding to embark back on my educational journey. I graduated twice from Mary Girls, received my license in social work. I'm now 2 years away from my doctoral degree. Back in December, let me go back. The last week of November, prior on to December, I was offered a job promotion at a Detroit public school. God is good, because I never knew this was even still on my record. I had simply forgot about it until the principal called me, because we had worked earlier years in Detroit, in the old Detroit public schools. So she kind of knew me, and she said, Sean, what is it that you could have done? You're so transparent. You came back ineligible hire. Like, whoa, what does that mean? I told her I needed a couple days to think about it, because I literally have done nothing but to try to do better. And thinking those 2 days, I even remember the judge name, which I'm not going to call names, but I remember what he said to me when I was before him in the courtroom. He said, something so thoughtless, I don't ever want to see you in my courtroom again. I said, sir, you never will. It was like my dad was talking to me. I called the principal back and I told her the story of this is what this has to be, because nothing else is on my record. I have never been in trouble before. She said, there's nothing I could do for you. And I understood her dilemma, and I knew she could not because I was tagged. Right then and there, my spirit died. All the accomplishments I had made and strived for, I and my character with my kids. I raised 5 grown, beautiful kids. They never knew about this. When I say I forgot, literally, you know how we can wipe some things out of our mind, and I just forgot. So it's like my character and my standing as a mom was in jeopardy. My spirit was gone. It was like, okay, so how do I proceed on? When I teach my children to be honest and to be respectful, and this is something I never share with them. I remember before I shared it with them, I said, well, I'm gonna have to do something about it because I didn't know how it was going to affect me going on to finish my educational journey. I have the gift for gab. I love to talk and I love to write. I was going to send a letter to the city of Detroit. Hey, could I get some help? This is, whatever I need to do. I don't know the system. I don't know the verbiage or anything, and I came across Project Clean Slate. Somebody said that a lot of people don't know about the systems that we have out here simply because they don't have the technology or they don't know how to go in and research it. For those people that don't know how, it needs to be, and I heard somebody say they was going to make the website more transparent and have the verbiage out there and the literature out there. It needs to be. Because when I found Project Clean Slate, it just brought hope back to me. I cannot remember the first, it was Julia. Julia was the lady's first name that I spoke to. And I think I did share with her how much hope that she gave me back, because I ended up telling her the story and how my spirit was just shattered. When I say that the team that I work with were very professional, patient, kind, and they were non-judgmental. They weren't there to judge me for what happened 25 years ago. They was not there to judge me and say, oh, really, this lady got to be lying. Who does not know something is on their record? Truly, you can tell when a person is judging you and when a person is sincerely honest with their motives and their actions. This team that I had was truly transparent, and they were kind and sincere in their actions and their walkings with me. The pandemic hit, as we all know, right after the holiday, mid-January, 1st of March. And I'm like, oh, wow, so this is just going to be on my record. Like, you know, we had these court days. We were supposed to do face-to-face court. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to have to think of something to do because I know this is on my record. This is when I told my kids. And my kids are all Gen X kids, these population kids. They looked at me like, oh, okay, Mom, so you really are for real. You actually did do something out there. I'm like, look, that's not the way I wanted you all to receive it. I just wanted you all to know that everybody has a past, and your past can be rectified, but this is not giving them permission to say, hey, because Mom got something on hers, I can too. No, I just wanted them to see that this made me know that I was human. I'm still human. I make mistakes, not the same mistakes, but the mistakes that we make, whatever they are, that we are human beings, and we do need to have the chance to be able to have those mistakes rectified without being judged. When I got the call, I think this is when I talked to Stephanie, because I had Julia, I had Stephanie, and I'm trying to remember everybody's name, and I know I had Juan, and I'm missing somebody's name in between there, and I spoke with Carrie. This team was really awesome. When I got the call or the email from Stephanie saying we was going to do a Zoom trial, I had a pre-trial with Juan, and we talked about it the day before. When we went into the Zoom hearing, it was, I mean, yeah, I was nervous because you stood before, you know, the judge, but I was reassured that this was going to happen because I had this team of people with me throughout. Even during the pandemic, Stephanie never failed to send me emails to communicate with me to say, hey, we got you, this is going to happen, you know, it's good to go, just giving me the reassurance. I did not know the outcome, but I am a praying woman. I knew that it was going to be okay, but what I carried away from this was just that dignity. I worked around people in a domestic violence shelter whose dignity and stuff was shattered and who really do need this program. So just to be able to work with a team of people who will assure them that you do matter and this can happen and that you're not being judged on anything, but we're going to accept you for who you are, that's a plus. So I never knew Project Clean Slate was on the making of being something bigger, but I'm really glad that it is and that it has. And I thank you all, the ones who helped me along the way, for signing this bill into law. And I have nothing else to say because I could go on and on. So now I guess I'm having John Cooper come up, sir. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I'm John Cooper. I'm the Executive Director of Safe and Just Michigan, one of the many advocacy organizations that worked on this campaign over the last couple of years. It's a great honor to be here, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak. Over the last 2 years, our organization and our coalition partners in the Clean Slate campaign have met hundreds of Michiganders who were being held back by old criminal records. We met a man from Ypsilanti, father of 3, who couldn't get a felony expunged because of 3 nearly 30-year-old misdemeanors. Met a man in Muskegon with 2 drug convictions from the early 90s. Neither has gotten in trouble since, but these convictions still hung over their heads. We heard from many people with traffic offenses on their records. Traffic offenses are half of all criminal cases in Michigan, and they were not eligible for expungement until today. Hundreds of thousands of people will get records cleared as a result of the automatic expungement that's part of this package. It's the most expansive version of this law in the country, and we hope that our leadership here in Michigan will, as Representative Legrand discussed, be followed in other states, because there are people in every state of this country that could use a clean slate. There's almost 250,000 people with marijuana misdemeanors that need a clean slate. This legislation is going to help hundreds of thousands of people in Michigan. I'm proud of our state today. I'm proud of our political leadership. I'm proud of the many citizens and organizations that helped pass this legislation, from business groups to advocacy organizations to faith-based groups to impacted people. People came together, they saw a problem, they put political differences aside, and worked together to fix it for the benefit of so many people in our state. This package will increase economic productivity, will increase our tax base, expand our workforce, increase incomes for hundreds of thousands of people and their families, and allow hundreds of thousands of people to fully participate in our economy and our communities. In doing so, it will also promote public safety. It is truly a win-win for the state of Michigan. I want to thank all the legislative champions of this legislation and the many partners and supporters that helped to get it across the finish line. Special thanks from me to the Clean Slate Initiative, Sharon Dietrich, Rebecca Vallis, Code for America, CJI, Nation Outside, JLUSA, Detroit Justice Center, the Alliance for Safety and Justice, Americans for Prosperity, the Mackinac Center, David Safavian, and many, many others. I'm just really, really happy to be here today. And our final speaker, I believe, is Priscilla Bordeaux.
Hi, my name is Priscilla Bordeaux. I'm a crime survivor and a national advocate, and a member of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, and I care about the safety of my community. I first want to thank Governor Whitmer and the Michigan legislature for the work they've done with this Clean Slate law and for listening to survivors like me. We create positive change for victims and their families by giving us a voice in criminal justice policy. After all, we know most profoundly what happens when our public safety system fails us. The Clean Slate law helps hundreds of thousands of Michigan residents with years of law-abiding behavior reset their records. If we want to make our communities safer, we have to allow people who have made mistakes and pay their debts to earn the opportunities to be stable and take care of their families. That means removing obstacles to them getting jobs, housing, and other basic needs we all need to be self-sufficient and move forward in our lives. As a crime survivor, I believe that there should be accountability when people commit crimes and do harm. I also believe that when people have served their time, we need to do everything we can to reduce the risk that they will reoffend, which results in fewer victims and safer communities. In a day when it's hard to find unity, today we've united for one cause, and I'm extremely thankful to be a part of the Clean Slate bill. Thank you.
We're going to do Q&A now, and then I'll sign the rest of the bills because I know we're running a little bit long. So happy to open it up for some questions and answers.
Governor, the first question will come from Tim Skubik.
Oh, gosh.
Governor, off topic, could you please clarify the comments that you made over the weekend when you lumped the President of the United States in with the two Republican leaders in the legislature for encouraging anti-government behavior? Could you clarify that and evidence that, please?
So, Tim, I'm really pleased that you're tuning in to this historic moment. These bills are going to make a meaningful difference to so many people in Michigan, and I don't want that to be lost. I'm not quite sure to what you're referring. I can just say that I have said that anyone who has a platform needs to use it. In the midst of the plot that was so dangerous and came to light last week, I think it was important to thank our law enforcement, the FBI, and the Michigan State Police for putting their lives on the line. My family and I are incredibly grateful, and to call on everyone, whether it is the President of the United States or it is leaders at the state level, we all need to be mindful of our actions, and none of us can give any safe harbor to people that are intent on harming and intimidating their fellow Americans.
As a reminder, we would like to take on-topic questions, so the next question will come from Beth LeBlanc with the Detroit News.
Governor, the Michigan Senate last week, it passed tie-barred unemployment protections legislation to a bill that would protect businesses from COVID-19 liability claims. Do you intend to sign those bills into law?
Well, it is my hope that when the House reconvenes tomorrow, they break that tie bar. I think it's really important that we get unemployment protections for the hundreds of thousands of Michiganders whose benefits are in the balance as a result of the Supreme Court decision. These were benefits that I was able to extend, but with the court's decision, they now hang in the balance. And while the legislature has to play an important role, I'm hopeful they'll break that tie bar so I can sign it into law and we can fix this post haste.
The next question will come from Zach Borchow.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for doing this. Sort of a related two-part question. This package was the product of a lot of bipartisan work. There's been a tremendous amount of criminal justice legislation that was done via bipartisan work. Yet, right now, it seems like that type of work is going to be difficult Given a lot of the things that are being said, some of the things that the speaker said over the weekend, you voiced your disappointment with what you feel has been some complicit comments that the speaker and the majority leader have made. How do things move forward given the current environment?
Well, Zach, I appreciate the nature of the question. I think in this hyper-partisan moment nationally, and that sadly always seems to happen as we get closer to an election, but this year it just seems worse than ever. I remain optimistic that we're going to be able to find common ground around some really important actions that we need to take as a state. COVID-19 does not care about a court ruling. COVID-19 does not care about partisanship. COVID-19 remains a very real threat to people all across our state, and the numbers, the trends are concerning. I think it's important that we continue to center our work around the public health, not partisan health, but the public health. And that's why I'm hopeful that the legislature can get these bills on unemployment, these bills giving local governments the ability to meet safely, virtually, bills around water to my desk, because these are critical components and have nothing to do with partisanship. I recently signed into law a budget that was bipartisan supported, and today I'm signing a series of bills that are bipartisan. So I know that we are up to this challenge, and I encourage everyone to keep our eye on the ball of what we can do and need to do right now, still in the midst of this global pandemic, despite all the political conversations that are happening as well.
The last question will come from Eric Lloyd.
Hello, Governor. Criminal justice reform was a big thing that you ran on when you were campaigning. This pack of bills, some of the other legislation we've seen over the past 2 years, especially heading into a new legislature soon, what is the next step? What are you looking for to continue this reform that you've been pushing?
Well, I think the Lieutenant Governor and the Attorney General both highlighted additional improvements that we think can be made in the law. I know that Representative Legrand and Representatives gay-dagnogo and Filler gave both, the points of view from bipartisanship that we think maybe there's additional space that we can find common ground on. So I don't know that I've got much to add to what they shared, but I am excited about the potential and hopeful that we can make some of these improvements get to my desk and we can make them law of Michigan.
Thank you all for joining us.
Right.
Thank you, Governor.
Finish signing the bills. All right. Thanks, everybody. get outside and it started, the wind picked up and we were chasing budget bills.
It's a bad show. It's a bad show right there.
I know, but we have to get